I'm going to start the story soon. I will start now. So, the story is about an old Greek myth. I don't remember who wrote it, but you know, it's one of those old stories that must have happened at some point, but I'm probably just stories. And so this is a story of Medea. So Medea was a high priestess, meaning back then, priestess were meant to have powers. And so she was pretty skilled at witchcraft, and she was also the daughter of a king, King Aeetes. He was ruling over the land of Colchis, and the Greek used to think it was a faraway land. Basically, it's like faraway non-Greek land. Colchis. Once upon a time, the Greek goddess Athena, the goddess of war, gave this country a golden fleece in a grove, and the people, the king, was told to protect it. So they did. It was guarded by a fearsome dragon. And Ares, the god of war, have said that the day the fleece would disappear would be the day their land would be unprotected. Meaning as long as the fleece was here, it would be an era and time of peace. One day, at the coast of this country of Colchis, a ship arrived. A ship with a crew full of heroes. One of them arrived and asked the king to give him the golden fleece. And so the one who asked for it was a hero called Jason. And the first time Medea saw Jason, she fell in love with him. And you know, Medea was not just falling in love and simply just loving the guy. She was a Yandere. Basically, she would do everything for him. Just for meeting him. Yep, that's how love works in Greek terms. Yep, absolutely. And the king obviously didn't want to give his fleece to Jason. Who's that guy? Whatever. He told him, and just to make him go away, he gave him an impossible task. He was to bring 2 balls in a field, those fire-breathing balls apparently, make them plod a field, and sow into the field the magical tooth of a serpent that had been slain long ago. And so Medea knew that Jason would not be able to do it, and so she didn't want him to die trying, so she told him how to do it, basically. She offered him a bargain before that. She loved him, but she knew, I mean, he's a hero, he will go away the next day, and she wanted him. So she decided, if I tell you how to accomplish this task, I want you to take me with you and marry me. And he accepted. He agreed to marry, and she gave him a lotion, a magical potion basically, a magical cream, a sunburn cream that would protect him from fire, for the fire-breathing balls. That way, he was able to plant the seed without getting hurt. Right? So that's what he did. But the king, Aeetes, seeing that Jason fulfilled his task, was not happy, obviously. He didn't want him to succeed, and now he succeeded, and he had no intention of actually listening to the foreigner. So he decided to just betray his promise of giving him the fleece and just ask his men to destroy the ship and chase Jason and his crew. Medea fortunately heard of the news, so she led them away from the castle and helped them find the fleece to take it with them at the grove where it was. They returned to the ship with Medea, and Medea on the way took her little brother. I'm gonna not be able to put it. On her way back, Medea took her little brother, Absyrtus. Together they all sailed at the top speed for Greece. Problem was, the King Aeetes' ships were more numerous and they were faster than theirs. It wasn't very long until they caught up with them. And Medea knew her father very well. So the first thing she did, she took her younger brother, cut him into pieces, and threw him in water. Because she knew her father, struck by grief, will not be able to let his little brother and take his body with him to be buried. He couldn't just let him lay in the waters. And so they were able to escape. So yeah, this is a very happy and fortunate story. And so Medea and Jason were so in love, and so they so happily married on Jason's hometown called Iolcus. Yeah, very easy to pronounce this one. And so on Iolcus they married. Jason also discovered that the King Peleus of the same country where they just married murdered his parents and his brother while he was gone. Furious, Jason wanted to attack the city and avenge his fallen family. But Medea told him to wait. She had an idea. She didn't want her beloved to be murdered immediately after getting married, of course, so she decided to go in alone, and she told him once the fires on the walls would be lit, that would mean they were free to go in, as she would have succeeded. And so Medea was a witch. She had powers, and she decided to use them to trick the king into giving his kingdom, all on her own, without anyone to help her, obviously. And Jason just let her go because he loved her so much, obviously. Because that's the thing that they didn't really announce her for, like, oh yeah, go alone, I will wait here. Isn't that a little strange? Anyways, I'm not debating the story now. And so, as she went to the city gates, she transformed herself into an older woman. And turned a pebble on the street into a statue. Because she was a witch, and that's what witches do. They turn things into things, I guess. And so she was welcomed into the city with her gifts, with her present, and she was asked what she wanted. And so she told the king that Artemis had come to reward Peleus for his piety. Okay, so Peleus was an old man, and he had no sons, only daughters. And so, technically, back in Greece, a daughter could obviously not take the inherit throne. So he was hairless. He had no hairs. I don't know how to pronounce it. And so, Artemis promised that she would turn him young again so he could have sons. But Peleus was very suspicious, obviously, and he didn't believe Medea. Like, oh yes, of course you're gonna bring me back to youthful. But to prove the truth, Medea turned herself back into a young woman. The woman she was before she turned herself into an old woman. And she told an old ram, cut it into 13 pieces. She threw the pieces into a boiling cauldron, and then she plunged her hand into the boiling cauldron and drew out a live lamb. So she turned the ram into a baby again. Peleus was convinced with this show, and he lay on the couch, waiting to be cut in pieces. And so Medea instructed his 3 daughters to cut him into pieces. And so she did. They did so. They happily cut him into pieces so they could have a young father again. And then she told the girls to take torches up the palace roof and invoke the power of the moon to have the cauldron boil. So the daughters went and turned up the torches on the walls of the castle. Jason and his troops saw the torches and barged into the castle, and so they took the city that easily because the king was dead and she was not bringing him back. We actually don't know if she actually could bring him back, but that's not an answer that the story gives us. And so Medea's father was a king, remember? And in Corinth, apparently, Medea's father was the king of Corinth? Wait, didn't she come from another city? Oh, who cares? That's the story. So Medea's father has once been the king of Corinth. And that's where Medea and Jason went next. And people of Corinth welcomed Jason eagerly, and they decided to settle there. That's what happened, but yeah. So they both settled there, and they got married, and they had 7 sons and 7 daughters. And they all could have lived happily ever after, if it was not for the next part. Jason grew a little older, and she grew bored of Medea. And 10 years only later, and Jason's eyes wandered on another woman. Glaus, the young and beautiful daughter of King Creon of Thebes. And so he divorced Medea and decided to marry Glaus instead. And the king accepted. He was perfectly fine with his daughter marrying a hero. Medea was furious. She still loved Jason, you know, she spent so much time with him. And she reminded him that he was king only because he married her, and without her he couldn't be king anymore. And Jason just laughed at her, saying that people of Corinth didn't like her anyways. She was just there, and they had more respect for him than what was rightfully hers. And Medea pretended to give in, that she gave up, that she surrendered the fight, that she accepted the divorce. She in fact didn't. She was absolutely furious, obviously. And so, on their wedding day, Medea sent for Glaus, the new bride, a dress and a crown. And so when Glaus put them on, they burnt into their skin. Her father Creon tried to pry the dress off her to save the daughter, but it was too late, and they both got poisoned and burned. The king and the daughter. As a second form of revenge, Medea killed all their children, leaving Jason alone again. He had no wife, no children. Apparently Medea's father was the god of sun, Helios, and seeing the injustice she suffered, he offered her a chariot to escape the city that was absolutely in chaos, obviously, after the facts. And so she sailed home, back to Colchis, where her uncle took over the power because the king didn't have any children anymore, and he lost all his powers, and so she just arrived and won her brother's throne back for him. And they were reconciled. Apparently, that was enough. Oh, you killed my son and you fled with a stranger. But it's okay because you gave me back my kingdom. Yes. And so what happened to Jason? He was punished by the gods for betraying his promised marriage. And was cursed to be hated. A hated wanderer, hated by everyone around him for all eternity. In the end, he just hanged himself somewhere. Medea never died. She became immortal, apparently. She was made immortal. Made to live forever in the happiness of Elysian fields. I have no idea what Elysian fields are.